So we're at the manufacturing phase and my order has arrived, and it's arrived on a 2-meter skid. This is based on what we talked about previously, so we've got all the parts listed. On the labels, it'll be marked with letters or numbers, which will indicate as we go through the instructions which box the parts are belonging in that we need to install. So as we get into the process, you'll start to see as we follow along box numbers and letter numbers. So we'll start moving into the production phase. Now we're in the manufacturing phase, we're in the shop. I have the REVEGO Duo panel in front of me. One of the most important tools that I have is the instructions. The instructions lay out piece by piece, step by step, all the components that I need. And if there's a specific box, as I indicated earlier, that I need to get the part out of, it will say as well, in box 5 or box 3 are these components. So you can easily reference the parts in the boxes that came in that 2-meter skid to what actually needed. So with all the parts laid out in front of me for the nominal length profiles, as we call them, the CNC driven holes are all in a specific place and they're all representative of the product itself. There's no extra holes. They're what is needed to be there, not any more, not any less. When we use it with a drill gun, we always recommend to not over torque it so we don't strip out the holes. So you have to be careful with what you're doing, and I've got a light clutch set up on my drill here, so I don't do that. So I'm gonna start with the first part, and like I said, all the holes are where they need to be. I'm just gonna line up the part. This is the first anchor part, and I'm gonna start screwing it into place. Now with the first part in place, I'm going to move on to the next parts. So now we go to the next component, and it's got a notch that's going to match up with the anchor piece. And we're going to just put it in, lock it in place. Then we're going to take our service interchange, and it's going to go like a tongue and groove. And then I slide it in. Now I take these components that will hold everything in place, and they are not a clamping device. They're actually a kind of roller and rubber grommet that will hold it all into place. And there's a special way of putting it in, which I'll do a close-up on. So now that the 3 top components are done, we're going to put down the bottom unit. So the next step after putting all the nominal length profiles, which will carry the door in and out of the pocket, is to put the Blum motion device in. This slows it when it's coming out of the pocket. With the Blum motion device in, the next step is to put in the connector holders to hold the strip that hides the hardware from your customer. With all the fixed components on, we're going to move on to putting the hinge application, the hinge strip onto the profiles. Now we have the hinge application set with us. Now, depending on the length of the height of your application, you might need a secondary person. So I'm gonna have my assistant here help me. He's gonna align the bottom end while I align the top end. And what's important is to keep these rollers with the yellow covers on them intact. They don't need to come off because they will come off all by themselves. And at the end, there's a little keyhole slot that helps us align it right from the start. With it installed now onto the chassis or the nominal length profiles, I'm going to start engaging the cable onto the service interface. So I've got to first pull up a little bit of slack, disengage the mechanism, might need more slack, put it in place. One of the improvements we've done over the last one, if you've done one before, is that we've made these attachment points much bigger so the screwdriver can attach more easily. I do recommend using a screwdriver and not a power drill or an air drill because these are very, very sensitive, but we do need to get them snug, not super tight. So I'm going to screw these 3 in. All right, with that in place, I am now going to secure the bottom end piece, which is the roller at the back. And I just push it all the way snug, and then I'm going to tighten the screw that's here. All right, now that's tight. So now that we've secured here, we have to connect the service interface to the main profile, which you'll see that I've now get it nice and tight. And now what we have to do is adjust the tension. There are two things we need to be aware of. One is that the cable is in its locked position, as well as where we've got to tighten and make the tension adjustments. So that I'm going to do next. So I'm going to take the cable, I'm going to pull it out of the insert here. Make sure that's there. And now I'm just going to tighten the two tension screws. And when I tighten these up, I don't have to be super tight. Just make it snug, because I'm just holding the cable in place. And then I'm going to take the tensioner and I'm going to tighten it until it clicks 3 times. And it takes a little bit of turning to get there, but once we get there, you'll hear it. 1, 2, 3. Now that everything is set and the tension's correct, I can go on to the next step. We're at the point now that we're going to assemble the hinge application strip that hides the hardware from the user when the door is inside the pocket. Now it's a very easy, quick connect system. We're just gonna line it up when I look at the system here where the clips are and just click them in place. And this product here, this length is determined on the product that you've created on the height. So you will or may have to cut this part to the length that you need. So with that in place, I'm literally just moving it over and sliding it into the clip positions very easily. And they're just finger push. I don't have to work hard at it. And they will lock into place very simply. And they come apart very simply at the same time. And I can move it down so very simply just to make sure that it's flush to there. So when we enclose the pocket with the pocket connectors, I'm showing you a tool called the STL8000. What this does, it allows us to do the horizontal drilling at the side for the pocket connectors. Now, when I originally said that we print off all the files from the configuration files, that allows me to get the drawing that's necessary to set up this tool. It's not to say that I need the tool, but it is recommended. You can do this by hand. You have to be just very accurate where you put it by hand. So I have now on the drawings come up with a number of 89 and 621 to do the base. And because we have a little bit of an offset at the top, the next setting I have to do is at 121 and 621. So I'm going to set it and it's at 89 here and I've already got it at 621. Now I'm going to take it to the end panel using a 5mm drill bit, which we've set at a depth stop, which is measured on the stick. And I'm going to start drilling the end pocket connector holes. So I'm going to take this and I drill from the outside in, not from the inside out. So I'm coming up from underneath and I'm putting it here and I'm going to hold it in place. I can clamp it down or I can hold it and I'm going to start drilling my holes. And I'm going to repeat on the other side. But I'm going to change it to 620 or to the 121 number. All right. And from the outside in. And I'm not drilling deep holes. These are just pilot holes to allow for me to put wood screws in. So now that we drilled our ends, now we're going to place the pocket connectors before we enclose it with the top. So one thing to notice with the pocket connectors, especially when it comes to the Duo application, is we have this roller here. Now this roller guides the door in and out of the pocket. So this has got to be the front part. And although we've drilled multiple holes, there's a couple detents and that are holding in locations, and then I'm going to screw it into place. And this is where the generalized wood screws come into play. It's by, I think it was a 35mm long, but with cabinet makers, they have a lot of them in place, so we're not going to worry about exactly specifics. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in location, put it in here, take my screw gun, and screw it in place. So that's the top pockets, connectors. Now I'm gonna do the bottom ones. Same as the top, I'm just going to repeat on the bottom. Again, the rollers go to the front. So now we're about to enclose the pocket completely, but we have to attach the back and the open panel on the other side here. Now, the way the back is constructed is open to interpretation. We recommend one way, but as many cabinet makers out there build different boxes in different ways, there's many ways to build it. So long as we can keep the integrity of the dimensions that we specified from the output, you can create the back as you want. In this instance, we've actually got this dadoed in so we can press fit it together a little bit easier. As we're not skilled cabinet makers, we are actually just hardware people, but with this, it's gonna make it life easier for us. So I'm gonna have my assistant come in and we're gonna place this into the back channel, and then we're gonna bring in the other panel to connect it all together. Well, we're just gonna make sure that the panels are end-to-end square, and if we need to persuade it just a little bit, and now we're just gonna press it down. There we go. There we go. So it's that simple to install the back, because if you're a cabinet maker and you've created your own way, it will probably go together even easier. So next we're going to bring in the pocket panel to enclose the pocket completely, and then we'll be completed with the REVEGO Duo pocket. All right, so this is our end of pocket here for the other side. Now, this is not how we construct it. This is constructed so we can show it to our customers on how the whole operation inside the pocket is. You would make it complete and solid. So again, this is not how you would design it. This is how we've designed it so we can show you how it works when we finally got it assembled. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna bring it off to the side, and we're just gonna line up the pocket with the back. You're gonna bring it down towards you a little bit. There we go. Just bring it down, snug it. And because we've pre-drilled even this side, as we did previously with the other pocket, all the holes will align so I can put in some screws, okay? So now with the pocket installed, we have now completed the REVEGO Duo pocket. What we have to do now next is to assemble the two doors that are going to be installed into the pocket. So that'll be coming up next. So now we're at the door assembly phase, and I'm following the instructions as I've done previously up to this point. And step by step, we're gonna get to the complete assembly of the doors. One thing to be aware of is with one part. As you can see, it has a retention clip. This is the tip-on system. This is what is at the top of the door and allows it to open up to its fully when we come out of the pocket and start to close up the space. It is under tension, so what you'll see is when I get to the point of installing, I'll be taking it off carefully and then attaching the screws. So I'll go to that point first. It is step one in the assembly process, so I'm gonna go there, and then I'm gonna assemble the hinge bracket into place and then go on with the other pieces. So to start off with the tip-on piece, I'm gonna go into the end here. And because again, like I said previously, all these are CNC driven from our software, there is all the right holes, not more, not less. So I'm gonna bring it down here to the location where I need to be. I'm gonna release that clip. And as you can see, it's now in the open position. It allows me to get to the screw holes. Inadvertently, not on purpose, but just by the way I touched it, it's not a big deal. It does get it out of the way so I can put the screws into place. And now I'm gonna go to the hinge strip, and easy with such a tall application, I'm just gonna mark one screw into place and then put everything in line with it as well. And one of the improvements that we did with the new REVEGO is that we had a lot of screws to hold this application in, but we've engineered it now that we don't need as many screws, and it is very secure. Now the next step in the process is to put in the guides for the center strip that hides the gap between the doors when it's in the full enclosed space position. Now with these parts, they are again aligned for where they need to go based on the CNC output. And now I go with the hinges. And the hinges have a very unique placement with an extra couple guide points that allow us to locate it. 2 on one side and none on the other. So they just lock myself into place. And there's no left, right, center, or up and down position. They do go into the position they're supposed to based on the drilling positions we've given them. Now that I have the hinges in place, now I'm going to put in the catch plate or the chassis holder that rides the doors on the system left and right when it opens and closes. Now that we've installed all the hard bits, now I'm going to install that cross rail here. Now there is an opportunity for whether I'm using a finished end panel or I'm connecting it with another door. In this instance, we're actually connecting with another door, which is our REVEGO Uno on the other side. And this is a magnetic catch plate that is included when you design for the two applications. And this will go in at the bottom corner. Now I'm ready for the center plate. The center tool here, it's going to slide in from the end all the way top. Now all the way through. Now this is a one length system that based on the criteria of the height that you do, it will or may not ask you to cut it to a specific length. If you're doing maximum height, we won't have to cut it. If you're cutting anything in between, we're going to have to trim it. And in all the instructions from the product configurator, it will give you that, that dimension to cut exactly where we need it. So now I'm going to add the clips that hold it in place, and it does outline the position of these clips. And now we've got to put them in, and they actually will just clip into place very easily. They come with a little screw that once they're in place, we're going to secure. You don't secure them too tight because you don't want to bend the aluminum profile. So I'm going to go ahead and place them now. All right, so from here I'm going to line these in, and they just hold on to the clip that's built into the hinge. And then using a screwdriver, I'll snug them into place. So now that I've tightened up the center strip, this completes the assembly of the REVEGO door. One thing to be aware of, which is a unique feature, is that when I do close up the door so we can ship it off to the site, is that on these hinge applications here, we have rubber feet so we don't scratch the door when they're closed together. So it's as simple as closing it, bringing it across, shutting it down, and then with the help of an assistant, we now cart it off to join the pocket. So the next phase is to attach the components to the front bracket, as well as attach an adjustment location point for the rail. We're going to get to the rail next, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that with this plate, we've got to take a soft mallet and install it. One thing to be a word of caution is, once it goes in, it's pretty hard to take out. So if you've got to finish this panel, finish it first, then you can install it. So installing it is as very simple as just tapping it in, and it's flush, and that's a simple install. Now these brackets get installed on the other side, so that would be upwards. So now my top is pointing in that direction, and these little brackets have an up arrow onto it. So you've got to make sure that we've got them placed in the right location. Now, I do have this little spacer block part. This spacer block part is if I was using material thicknesses of less than 17 millimeters thick. We're using 19, so I don't need it. But this would allow the adapter to push the piece forward so that the catch plate can be caught by the tip-on mechanism on the Duo door. So I won't be using this, but it's worth to note that if you are using less than 17, you will need to use these. So I'm going to put these into place and use our 14.5 millimeter system screws and put them in place. So the next part is the adjustment screw point where we need to install on the top panel. And this is for when we have to make any adjustments to the rail. We're going to get to the rail next, but I'm going to install this first on our top panel. The top panel is now complete, and we'll shift off to do the rail next. So now we come to the rail, and the rail is what makes the REVEGO Duo doors ride across. Now the Uno doesn't require a rail, but in order to bridge the distance, we need to have the extra connection piece and the adapter. Now I've got this on a light panel piece of wood. It has nothing to do with the application other than that we can now see it clearly. So with this metal steel bracket, I'm going to insert it in, slide it in, and then I'm going to connect it with the other side. Now, as you can see the Allen keys here, it's easy just to snug them up into place and we'll be fine. And then when we get onto site, then we'll be able to make any slight adjustments on the external for it to connect properly. This part here is a decorative piece, so that way when we finally got it all installed, we're going to put it in the cover track piece and we won't be able to see all the hardware behind it. So with the rail complete, next step we'll be assembling the REVEGO Uno for our application. So here we are at the REVEGO Uno assembly. Now what we're looking at is all the parts, but I wanted to make a note of a couple unique parts because for the most part it goes together just like the REVEGO Duo. So to go step by step as we've done previously wouldn't make much sense, but I'm going to make a little bit more of a point to detail. So this part is attached to the top and it kicks out the decorative strip that's going to hide the hardware. So that's unique to it. And with this build, we're also doing it with a toe kick. Now, there's no instructions in the for toe kick assembly, but when we choose the toe kick assembly in the product configurator process, you will get the printout on all the parts, including the extra base bracket or the pocket connector that's needed, because that is where we're going to put the leg levelers. So that way when we have the elevated system, we can adjust for the height. So I'm going to go through the process of assembling it, and we're going to speed up the video, and we're going to follow our instructions that come with the pocket set, and we'll be done in no time. So we're gonna mount that clip in. Got it, slide it in. There we go. That's right. Yep. So now our REVEGO Uno pocket is complete. We'll now move on to the assembly of the door. Very similar in process with the Duo, but some of the unique features of the Uno application are with regards to the tip-on for doors mechanism, which is magnetically attached and will activate the door for opening and closing. Now, we could have put it into the process of manufacturing, but we find that it's actually quite easy to do it when you finally got the doors on and everything together. And that way we use a quick finding assembly device that we have for tip-on for doors and drill the 10mm hole. We also recognize that with all the hardware being visible, unlike with the Duo where the doors are folding in on it, we are going to include the onyx black finish screws, so that way they blend in with the dark color apparatuses here that we have. So by following the instructions, we're going to get together in no time. So I'm going to speed up the process and we'll get it done. So here we are, finished with the assembly of the Uno door. Very simple, very easy. And as we noticed prior in the other Duo doors, you see these cutouts for door stabilizers or panel straighteners. Blum doesn't make them, but they are recommended to use when we start using tall panels. So from here, we'll take the Uno door and meet up with it and the REVEGO Duo so we can assemble it in our application.